Scott Lauber, who does a tremendous job covering the Phillies for the Inquirer. You should experience the new look of Inquirer Sports, where fans can read, watch, and listen to their favorite reporters and columnists. Go to Inquirer.com/sports. How are you today, Scott?
Doing well, guys. How are you?
Doing well. We appreciate you spending some time with us in the off season here, and fans are starting to get restless. For a while there, before the Soto thing was going on, we weren't really hearing much from the fans, and since the Soto deal got done and the Phillies have not made moves while the Yankees and others do, fans have started to get restless. Do you think it's fair? Is it fair in your opinion, or unfair, that fans are starting to get a little bit restless about the Phillies possibly running it back when they don't think they're good enough to win the whole thing?
I don't think it's fair, but I do think it's natural. Here we are almost at the end of December, and this is the part about the baseball offseason that kind of stinks, right? Because it's so long and it's so drawn out, unlike the NFL and the NBA, which free agency is over like in the snap of a finger. Baseball, it goes on and on and on, and into spring training, the last several years, where you see players who don't report to camp on time because they're still unsigned. So, this is the thing, and I wrote this the other day that, when the final out of the World Series was recorded, there were 147 days between then and opening day. And we're basically, there are basically like just under 100 left still before opening day. If this was a game, it would be like the game to just sort of say on December 19th, well, what are they doing? What are they waiting for? It's how the game is played. But it is natural because other teams are making big moves and other teams are doing things. And we're accustomed to seeing the Phillies do big things early in off seasons. I've covered Dave Dombrowski now for a while, going back to his years with the Red Sox, and he's someone who does tend to strike early in the off season. And he has said this off season is a little bit different for him, both in terms of the team's needs and also in terms of the way the market has moved. And it might be a little bit of a later developing offseason for the Phillies than we're used to. So still a lot of time to go. I would be surprised if what you see right now is what you get when spring training begins in a little under 2 months. But yeah, I totally get it. I understand why people are getting restless and wondering what's going on. I just think it's sort of the nature of the business and kind of the beast of a baseball offseason.
When you see the names that have been thrown out there, at least for trade purposes, you see Alec Bohm, you see Nick Castellanos. How much of this is true? I mean, if at all.
Well, I mean, define,
I'm talking, have the Phillies actually been involved in these things?
Well, I will tell you this, Ricky. They've talked about a lot of things, internally, externally, but that's what happens every offseason, right? Because if they're not calling teams and calling agents and saying, what do you think about this guy or what do you think about that guy, then what are they doing, right? I mean, then they're not doing their jobs. A lot of it gets out. A lot of it, more of it, does not get out. It has gotten out that, they've made it known that if you want to make an offer for Alec Bohm, that they will listen. And, I do believe what they're putting out there, which is that they're not, they're out there saying, look, we're not shopping him, and that might be true, but they're also letting teams know, make us an offer or let's talk about it, because Alec Bohm is a movable piece because of his contract, because of the control, much more of a movable piece than Nick Castellanos, who's got $40 million coming to him over the next 2 years, and that's a lot of money for a lot of teams, and Phillies might have to pay down. We'll have to pay down a lot of that if they move him, and he's more valuable to them on their roster than if they're paying for him to be on someone else's. So, yeah, I understand why Alec Bohm's name has come up, and it has come up. It's just a matter of how serious. And to my knowledge, nothing has gotten close with Alec Bohm, but they're very much discussing it. And I'm not telling you he's going to be traded. Wouldn't be the first time that a player's name has been in the rumors all winter long, and he shows up in spring training, and maybe it's a little awkward on day one, but it's part of the business. But there's still a long way to go, and a possibility that he could get moved. I don't know what percentage I'd put on it, but it's something that they have definitely discussed because they're discussing a lot of things.
We're speaking with Scott Lauber. He does a tremendous job covering the Phillies for the Inquirer. Some fans have been happy. Some fans have been unhappy. It appears they're extremely reluctant to part with either Aiden Miller or with Painter this offseason. Number one, is that true? Because we're hearing that as well, but we want to know if that part's true. And then two, are the Phillies really that high that they think those guys can contribute in the near future to this ball club?
Yeah, I would say that the Painter part of that rumor is completely true. Dave Dombrowski doesn't really use the word untouchable, but in all my years of covering him, I think Andrew Painter is as close to untouchable as I've seen especially a prospect kind of in a Dombrowski organization. They would have to be, I think, totally and absolutely blown away to move him, and he is very close to contributing. In fact, I think it'll be, mid-season, and the only reason it's not sooner than that is that because he was out all last year and the year before, he'll be on kind of he'll be on a pitch limit. So what they want to do is make sure that when he gets to the big leagues, they can get him through to the end of the season. They don't want to get into a situation where, it's September 1st and he's at 120 innings and they have to shut him down. They want him when it counts. They want him for crunch time. So he is someone who they definitely view as a piece of the puzzle and a big piece of the puzzle in 2025. I think Justin Crawford and Aiden Miller are players they value greatly. They believe will be part of the future, not as quickly as Painter. I think you could see Crawford at some point this season. I think Aiden Miller, it would have to be awfully fast. He's going to start the season in Double-A, most likely, I would imagine, and get to a point where he gets to Triple-A and they move him. Now, that's not to say he can't have a real good first half and really start knocking on the door, but I think it's more like 2026 on Aiden Miller. But those are the big three: Painter, Miller, Crawford. I think they would be more apt to move Miller and Crawford in a big deal that it would have to be for a player that they can control for a long time. And I think, as you saw in the Garrett Crochet talks, when the Garrett Crochet talks picked up again last month, I think the Phillies looked at him a little bit differently than they did at the trade deadline. At the trade deadline, he was available for 3 postseason runs. Now he's available for 2, and I don't think that they were going to move Miller and Crawford in a deal for a guy that is controllable to them for only two more years.
No, we really appreciate you spending some time, Scott, with us and fitting us in on a Thursday. Happy holidays to you. We appreciate it. And obviously, we love your work, and we'll talk to you as soon as the next move is made.
Thanks, guys. Anytime. Have a happy holidays to you, too.
Appreciate it. Thanks so much. That was Scott Lauber on the Comcast Business Highlight.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for watching our YouTube. If you want to help us out, go ahead and like and subscribe for us. If you liked what you saw, go right over here to our playlists and pick out whatever you want to watch.